Depending on when I'm going to upload this video, the 2027 World Endurance Championship schedule season got released the day before the 2026 24 Hours Le Mans. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited about the upcoming 2027 WEC season. I really like the scheduling. I feel like it's one of the best I've seen in WEC since its inception in 2012. Before I go over on how I feel about it, let's just go over the scheduling. Before the WEC season starts, we're going to have the official prologue at Qatar from March 21st to 22nd, basically like a preseason thunder kind of thing of WEC. 5 days later, the 1,000-kilometer Qatar race takes place on March 27th. And then a couple of weeks later, we go to the 6 hours of Imola on April 11th. And then 2 weeks later, for the first time since 2019, WEC is back in Silverstone. The 6 hours of Silverstone returns for the first time in 7 years, and I can't wait for this. We've been asking and begging for Silverstone to be back on the schedule in WEC for so long, and after all these years, we got it back, baby. I'm so hyped. And then we wait for like another 3-4 weeks until we go to the 6 hours of Spa in May 15th. A bit later than usual for the month of May for WEC at Spa, but hey, that'll do still. And then we get to the big one. Almost 3-4 weeks later, we get to the 24 Hours Le Mans. It's still in the same weekend of the month like this year, except it's June 12th to June 13th. And then almost a month later, we get to the 6 hours of Sao Paulo, the racing in Interlagos once again. I'm so glad they're still racing there. Interlagos is such a peak track no matter what series race there. And then we have to wait 2 months for the WC to return, and they're going to be racing at Coda for the 6 hours on September 12th. And then 2 weeks later, they're going to be racing in 6 hours of Fuji on September 26th. That's a good one as well. And then we end the season at Bahrain for the 8 hours of Bahrain on November 6th. I'm assuming probably the same weekend as NASCAR. That's always been like that for like most of the years, from what I recall. 9 races this season. I can't wait. So let me start off with the positives of this scheduling. One of my favorite things about the 2027 schedule for the WEC is that if you look at the first 4 races of the season between Qatar and Belgium, we are racing like once every 2-3 weeks. It's kind of like an INDYCAR type of deal, but we wait like 2 weeks. And I'm not gonna lie, that's really cool. We don't have to wait that long. I'm hoping it works out logistically because they travel around the world. But to wait once every 2 weeks for the first 3 races of the season, that's really cool. That way, more fans can stick around to the early parts of the season. Like I mentioned, Silverstone is back in the schedule. That's awesome, and I can't wait. And then we get to the second half of the season. We wait between Spa and Mons for almost a month. No complaints about that. After Spa, they're just preparing for the annual 24 Hours Le Mans. After Le Mans, we go to Brazil. We go to Interlagos. Not gonna lie, a very valid wait. An almost month wait because, you know, they did their biggest race of the season. So taking some time off and preparing for their other races is nice. Another thing I like the schedule, it's 9 races again. Personally, I would like to see 2 more races added, you know, make it 10 or 11 races in WEC. But I can understand why they're doing 9 races, so I'll try to keep it perspective about it and also what else I'm going to say. Because it is a worldwide series traveling through each country. So those are my positive takes about the 2027 WEC schedule. I really like it. I like the gaps for the first half of the season. And then I do have some iffies and skepticisms about this. The gap between Interlagos and Coda, a 2-month wait. I get it, like I said, logistics and traveling is a lot to deal with for a series like WEC. And also, they do other races for like IMSA, the Nürburgring 24 hours, Spa 24 hours, and so on. My issue with the gap between Interlagos and Coda, a 2-month wait, if you're trying to have new fans to watch WEC, and for some people who do watch WEC, I feel like people will forget that WEC exists until basically race week of Coda. Like, oh, wait, WEC is still around. The season's not done yet. And another thing is like, hey, will these fans continue to watch WEC despite the 2-month gap? I'm not concerned about how WEC does. Their marketing is very different compared to, INDYCAR, NASCAR, Formula One, etc. So I'm not gonna be all like up in arms about like how they advertise their series like I do with INDYCAR. And then another gap between the 6 hours of Fuji and 8 hours of Bahrain. Like, those are the final two races of the season. If there is a championship battle and if the season's almost over, how are we fans gotta remember, oh yeah, the season's almost done. Oh yeah, there's a championship battle or a constructors battle, so on and so forth. I know they'll do like, advertise, make content about like what's happened in the season or what's going to happen at the final two races and the season finale. I understand that, but you want to keep the momentum to end the season. So, couple of complaints. I would love to see 2 more races added. I would love to see Monza back in the schedule. I love Monza. It's a shame that WEC doesn't race there. Here's the thing, don't get me wrong. WEC at Imola is a really good track for WEC, but man, I really miss Monza so much. I don't know, we'll get it back at some point or in the future. I don't know, we'll get it again anytime soon, but it would be nice to have it. And it would be nice to fill in spaces, like for example, like a Hockenheim or a Zandvoort, for example. Or even Montreal. I would like to do a WC Dream Schedule or something like that, or WC video of races I want to see, something like that, like I did with INDYCAR years ago. But like I said, I get it. Logistically and costly, it is challenging. So it is what it is. Other than that, I love this schedule. One of my favorite schedules that WC has done since the super seasons. And regardless of my opinion, whether it's good and some concerns, I'm still excited for the future of WEC. So what do you guys think about the schedule of the 2027 WEC season? Do you guys like it? Is there anything else you wish that could have happened? Do you guys not like it? Tell me in the comments below. I'm curious. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Ian, and I talk about racing. Signing off. Goodbye, everybody.